Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. Doubtlessly, in every election that's ever been held, lawn signs and different signage for the political candidates are destroyed by bad actors. But in the riding of Nepean, where Mark Carney is running himself as the Liberal candidate, it's been his campaign specifically that has been destroying his opponent Barbara Bal's signs. Barbara Bal's campaign has evidence Mark Carney's actual campaign workers are the ones taking down their signs. Usually it just gets blamed on random bad actors, but in this case, it's actually the people working for the prime minister's campaigns who are going around trashing signs and then reusing wooden stakes from them to put up their own signs. This is an incredible video that Barbara Bal just posted last night. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. Before I get into it, guys, if you like my coverage of the Canadian federal election, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, keep up with the video coverage. About half of people usually aren't subscribers, and also leave a comment. Really helps us in the algorithm. I like to scroll through a few times to see what people are saying about the topic of the day. But now, without further ado, let's jump into this video that Barbara Bal's campaign posted last night.
Hello, Nepean. It's Barbara Bal, your Conservative candidate. In a democracy, the right to free speech is sacred. It's common knowledge that the Barbara Bal team is very organized. Our signs were up very early in the campaign. Many of our wooden stakes are marked with blue tops and NCA for Nepean Conservative Association written on them. Now, we are discovering that hundreds of our signs are missing. We have found many of our signs in the garbage. We have also discovered empty holes and, in other instances, wooden stakes with blue tips and NCA written on them, bearing my opponent's red sign. When people resort to criminal behavior, they are undermining the democratic process itself. This is unacceptable. Our community deserves better. We must stand united against such actions, which tarnish the democratic ideals that we hold dear.
It's just absolutely pathetic. You think that if you're running as prime minister, you already have a lot of structural advantages from having the name recognition of being the leader of the country running in the riding, but it wasn't enough. We've already seen previously when Barbara Bal would put up her sign, they would try and surround her signs with Mark Carney signs, which is a bit of an indication that private individuals are not actually requesting Mark Carney liberal signs. If you have so many left over, you can just dump 30 of them in one little intersection island to cover up Barbara Bal signs. I am actually going to be going out to the Ottawa area to help in the Nepean and Canada ridings to make sure that Mark Carney doesn't actually win a seat. I think there is actually a decent chance that there's going to be backlash in that riding against Carney becoming the candidate because he just threw out Chandra Arya as the Liberal with no good reason given. People are trying to spread rumors it's because Chandra Arya was involved in foreign interference. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But also, it doesn't matter because the Liberals don't care about foreign interference, which is why they were defending Paul Chang, saying that Joe Tay, a conservative candidate in Don Valley North, should be kidnapped, brought to the Chinese consulate for a massive bounty on his head. And then when they finally did replace Paul Chang after defending him for 2 days, they have now replaced him with another former police officer who also has CCP connections in the exact same way that Paul Chang did. These people do not care about foreign interference, and that's why, though, a lot of people are mad in the Nepean riding because it was just purely arbitrary that they got rid of their MP, who was the MP since 2015, just so Mark Carney could have an easy seat around the Ottawa area. But I don't actually think it's going to be that easy. In the polls, it had actually shown that that was going to be an easy flip riding for the Conservatives as of 4 months ago. Obviously, the polls have shifted, but that means it's shifted from an easy Conservative pickup to a real knife fight. Now, I just want to jump over to something else, and that is Mark Carney absolutely not knowing Canadians at all. He is so in a left-wing bubble that when this reporter asks him about guaranteeing medical transition services for transgender people, he doesn't dodge, which he should. He just goes fully into, 100%, this is a top priority for me, making sure we can allow people who are minors to medically gender transition. By the way, isn't it kind of fantastic that he is in, I believe, this might be Alberta. Yeah, I think he's in Alberta here, Saskatchewan, in front of workers who work real hands-on tough jobs in, I believe, the forestry sector. And he is now going to take questions about how we need to make it a right for people who are not adults to be able to medically transition, take puberty blockers, and the rest.
Mr. Carney, your platform hasn't said anything about LGBTQ Canadians. We're here in Alberta where the province wants to restrict healthcare for transgender people, and they want the Canada Health Act to defend their access to gender-affirming care.
Again, what he's talking about when he says transgender people, he's talking about children. This guy thinks that it's a travesty if children cannot medically transition in Alberta. The responsible position that people who are not adults should not be able to make adult decisions about how they want to alter their bodies, how they want to block their own puberty development. This is just insane. And Mark Carney's about to take it at face value here.
Would you do that? And what is your party going to do about the backsliding that we're seeing for gender and sexual minorities?
Thank you for the question, Dylan. Let me start at a fundamental point, which is, our Canada is a mosaic. We are all Canadians, but we all have different identities and distinctions. And one of the great strengths of this country is recognizing that people can be who they are, they can love who they love, they can live where they want to live. And it's fundamentally important that the federal government is the defender of those rights, defender of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And access to healthcare in Canada is not a business, it is a fundamental right, and we will defend it. For all Canadians without exception.
It's not a right to be able to transition, especially when you're a child and it cannot consent to that kind of procedure. My goodness, imagine being one of those union workers who works in the lumber industry or whatever, plant they were in. Imagine being one of those people, having to stand behind Mark Carney while he says that dribble. This man, by the way, was in favor of vaccine mandates. This man was against freedom when it was truckers protesting mandates and wanting to actually be able to work their jobs without the government stopping them at ports of entry and preventing them from working. That was bad freedom. When it's good freedom, it's the government spending money on children being able to gender transition. This stuff needs to be way more well known. People need to be confronted who want to vote liberal right now and say, so sorry, but you're cool with this? This is a good position to you that children should have a right to medically transition, and that he will go after the province of Alberta for passing a law that is literally 80% popular in Canada. Have you ever seen the parental right and consent polling in different provinces? In Alberta, it was 82% of people, may have been 85%. And obviously that is crossing boundaries between UCP voters and Alberta NDP voters, Alberta Party voters, Greens. All those people are in favor of leaving kids to be kids until they are adults. He's also had the weirdest lines ever when it comes to a lot of issues that have been popping up recently. I'm going to be talking about this in another video, but recently he's now gone after the Globe and Mail as somehow being some sort of fake news network because they reported on his ties to the CCP, and it very quickly came out that he's just lying.
Globe and Mail. My colleagues have a story today about a Liberal candidate's relations with China-friendly groups and a meeting that you also held with a pro-Beijing group. So my question is, why did you meet with this pro-Beijing group, Jiangsu Commerce Council of Canada? And is the party okay with the fact that Liberal candidate Peter Yan has been so close with the Chinese consulate and China-friendly groups, given the public inquiry into foreign interference, says that this is a tactic China uses to exert influence?
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but you can't believe everything you read in the Globe and Mail. So
he's acting like it's InfoWars. It's the Globe and Mail. It's a liberal outlet who will move heaven and earth to not report negative stuff about the liberals unless it's the most obvious story on the planet. Even when they were talking about pro-Beijing groups, tied to the government trying to pump up Carney. They even made the headline slightly deceiving so people would actually think they're anti-Carney. They were like, the pro-Beijing groups are targeting Carney in new viral marketing or new marketing scheme on WeChat. And it's like when they use the word targeting, it makes it sound like they don't like Carney, when in fact, the entire story was that they're trying to help Carney and they're targeting his great resume or whatever. It's like the most deep pull of a quote out of context to make it sound like somehow he's being oppressed, when in fact that word was being used in the context of how they were promoting him.
In your question, and I guess in the article in question, you said I had a meeting with whatever your term was, Beijing group. I've never heard of this group. Okay, never heard of this group. Certainly didn't have a set-up meeting with this group. Full stop. So check your sources before you write things like that.
Let's just move on right now. So what's the source? Here's him literally taking a photo with the guy earlier this year. And by the way, that company's website has gushing praise over how great of a meeting it was. A long meeting that they had with Mark Carney. There's no way he didn't know that he was around a group like this. And if he didn't, he shouldn't be denying it like this, as if he just knows that he didn't meet with one of them. You probably know when you've been engaging with a CCP front group, because they are probably having a meeting about how we need to grow closer to China, when the vast majority of Chinese Canadians are very anti-CCP. It's very easy to tell the difference. Mark Carney knows the difference. It's called lying. He is lying because he's assuming that people still care so much about the Trump issue that he can do and say whatever he wants and nobody's really going to catch up to it. I think that that is just not accurate. I think that the election was really good this past week now for Mark Carney because of the Liberation Day tariffs. But now that the tariffs are just gone, it's really difficult for that issue of Trump and tariffs to cover over just the sheer amount of crazy garbage that Mark Carney has been saying, just the obvious lies. Him basically taking a pro-Hamas boycott against Israel position on that conflict, him going off and just like endorsing every single stupid policy idea that Justin Trudeau ever pitched. There's not an inch of difference between Justin Trudeau and Mark Carney at this point. And I hope that the Conservatives basically just play on repeat both the fact that that Trump thinks he's a complete weakling, as well as every single time he says something and then playing it off and saying, didn't literally Trudeau say this exact same thing? Because nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. It's like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Mark Carney is Kamala Harris in this scenario, and it feels like within the Liberal Party, he is not allowed to actually walk away from the Liberal Party's policies. But unlike in the situation in the U.S. where Joe Biden wouldn't let Kamala Harris walk away from his policies, because if you're going to take the nomination away from me, you're at least not going to trash me in public. In this case, I actually think it's because Carney's instincts are actually to go even more left than he currently is. So other than the carbon tax move, which was just trying to steal the gravitas of the Conservatives for a second, everything he's been pitching has been as bad, if not worse, than Trudeau. He's now in favor of full gun confiscations, and he said that he's going to prevent people with criminal records from owning and using firearms. It's like, wow, that's already true. That's already how it works, and that's not new. That's how it's worked since like the 1930s, probably. That if you're, a violent offender, you're not allowed to, own a shotgun. Anyways, so that should be it for this video, guys. I will be back later today with something else. Thanks for your viewership. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. I do want to make a more fulsome video at some point on the China issue. I've been hoping to have Sam Cooper on. I've actually wanted to talk a bit about the tariff issue and how America sees Canada. I was going to have John Bolton on for that. I'm going to have to reach out again. I did get confirmations from both that they can come on the show, but I'm going to have to kind of like circle back and make sure that's all still true, because, man, my schedule is crazy busy for almost no reason many days. So thanks for watching the show. We'll be back later. I know, no doubt in a few days or so, we're going to see another polling shift occur. We just got through the really bad phase of the tariffs, where there was going to be the rally around the flag and the current government effect in Canada. And now that that issue's gone, I actually could see the Trump issue falling into a distant second place in this election to the economy or even housing, and it might even fall into third. So that's it for me today, guys. See you later.